Ducks Unlimited, the leader in wetlands and waterfowl conservation, is proud to partner with farmers, ranchers, and other landowners. Those partnerships, represented by America's Farm Bill, continue to leave a lasting conservation legacy. Farm Bill conservation programs protect critical wetlands, wildlife habitat, and working farms and ranches, from the prairie potholes to the Gulf Coast and beyond. Together, we can build a better tomorrow through a strong Farm Bill for our families, our lands and waters, and our wildlife.
The commodity programs in Title I and nutrition programs in Title IV might get a lot of attention, but the conservation programs in Title II played a big role in the passage of the 2014 Farm Bill. Greg Uden is the president of the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. He says his operation benefits from Farm Bill programs like the Environmental Quality Incentives Program and the Conservation Stewardship Program and the information they provide.
You know, through rotational grazing and having adequate water and what you've done is you've built your species of grass, and you don't overgraze your grass, and consequently you're getting more production. You're running more cattle per acre on a rotational basis with adequate water, and you have a lot less erosion. And through some of the designs out there, as far as where you place the fences and where you don't, you just have a better operation that's a lot more viable and can always handle the cattle, and even handle things at more stressful times when you don't get as much rain.
The programs are popular across a variety of different geographies and production styles. Cattle Wind Farms in Northern Virginia uses a fenced-in stream exclusion and manure shed as part of their nutrient management program. Managing member Stephanie Cornell says the practices are beneficial environmentally and financially.
Everything goes into the Chesapeake Bay watershed, so we've got, clean water is very important for us to have good, healthy soils, and everything just kind of plays into effect for smart conservation practices of just protecting your future.
The 2014 Farm Bill brought some major changes to conservation policy. Chief among them was the tying of conservation compliance back to crop insurance, as it had been several years ago before being delinked in 1996. That represented a major change that some farm organizations and lawmakers opposed.
Most of your farmers already had conservation compliance plans, because this dates back to 1985 when compliance was passed in the '85 Farm Bill, which President Reagan signed. So most of them already had it. Most of them were already in compliance.
The number one safety net feature that our ranchers and farmers are going to have to rely on is crop insurance. So making sure that conservation compliance and those environmental standards were being upheld, it made sense to have it linked to crop insurance. But as you looked at if it was that big a change, it really wasn't, in the sense that most producers, when you looked at it on paper, they already were doing those things that would have had them in compliance anyways. It wasn't going to make the majority of producers across the country change anything that they were already doing.
When I was chief of NRCS, every year we would work with the Farm Service Agency, and there would be a random selection of tracts that you would check whether it was in compliance or not. And it was only like 2 or 3% were out of compliance, and many of those were weather related or acts beyond the producer's control. To quote Shakespeare, much ado about nothing.
But there was much ado about changes to the acreage cap for the Conservation Reserve Program. The legislation took the cap from 32 million acres down to 24 million for 2017 and 2018. Program supporters want an increase, but worry it may have to come at the expense of something else.
If we're at 24 million now and we're going to start increasing incrementally and having the discussion about where is the best spot for that cap, which there has to be a cap, you're adding big numbers to the budget, and you need to take that into consideration.
In the 14 bill, it was taken from 32 down to 24, and really that was part of the savings when $6 billion was taken from the conservation title.
And we don't have a blank check to write the next farm bill. The farm bills that preceded this did not have a blank check, and those that come after will not have a blank check, so we have to be able to prioritize.
If we're in a baseline budget bill, which means Congress says, okay, conservation title, this is your baseline, this is how much money you have to spend. If you increase one program, you've got to decrease another program. And what will be the trade-offs? If you increase CRP, will you cut the Conservation Stewardship Program? Or will you cut EQIP? Or how is all that going to interplay? And where will the members land in the development of the next bill? I think that's going to be a key point.
But the Farm Bill's conservation language isn't all acreage caps and funding dilemmas. In 2014, the bill included the Regional Conservation Partnership Program. That created a public-private partnership program to address conservation authorized at $100 million every year. For supporters, it's been a real bright spot of the legislation that enabled groups like Ducks Unlimited to pair with the U.S. Rice Federation.
We're working with production agriculture. These are not necessarily the types of programs that are retiring land from production, which Ducks Unlimited has supported historically and will continue to. But we're also, as we move forward, understanding the value of working landscapes, working farms. And right now, the nexus between migratory bird conservation and rice production is perfect for that. And then RCPP allows us to go in there, and with a limited federal investment, we can take those dollars and get them matched by groups like Ducks Unlimited and private corporations. And it's working really, really well right now.
Like the rest of the Farm Bill, the conservation title is looking at tweaks, not wholesale changes in the new legislation. Conservation spending typically can court bipartisan support, and some say a change in the administration might not hurt either.
Our new president, this administration, is going to de-emphasize regulation, okay, which is fine. Okay, I get it. But what are you going to replace it with? And my hope is that if you de-emphasize regulation, you double down on the value of voluntary, incentive-based private land conservation. If we've got a problem, let's fix it. But let's do it in a voluntary, cooperative manner. And the conservation title of the Farm Bill is the way to do that.